We're over fighting this war in Iran. We're flying over and dominating and talking about what we're going to do to people, according to Pete Hegseth. So as we're flying over and killing people and dominating with white supremacy, one thing he wants to point out with this same propaganda is that we're nowhere near as savage and destructive as our enemies.
This is not a mission accomplished situation. This is simply a reality check. The combination of U.S. and Israeli intelligence and combat power will control Iran, and will control it soon. Sure, Iran will still be able to shoot some missiles and still be able to launch one-way attack drones at civilian targets, and their proxies will attempt to attack our embassies, bases, and soft targets. They are terrorists, after all, and they need to target civilians because they can't fight toe-to-toe. But we will find them, and we will kill them.
It doesn't get more white supremacists than that. We control you. We do what we want. We will fly over your airspace. We will kill you. But the caveats here is pointing out the people that he's saying he's going to dominate because of his supremacy is they're terrorists. And they need to target civilians because they can't fight toe-to-toe. Have you seen Pete Hegseth's motherfucking toes on the ground? Have you seen Donald Trump's toes on the ground? Have you seen Stephen Miller's toes on the ground as they're talking about how people aren't fighting toe-to-toe because he's fighting toe-to-toe? Yeah, this guy. And by the way, about those civilians that only get attacked by radical Islamic terrorists, it's weird because, America and Israel just attacked some citizens. As a matter of fact, children.
The scene was really graphic. I saw things like a small child's hand in the rubble, bloodstained backpacks, homework scattered everywhere. And so when I see scenes like that, it's important to verify and know that it's from the current moment. So I was able to do that. And then once I found the locations of the school itself, just being able to map, some of the features we saw in the video with satellite imagery, I wanted to understand what was around there. Manab is a small town in the southern Hormozgan province. I was trying to understand why the school was struck. What I saw and what many others online saw as well is that it was close to an IRGC Navy barracks.
And explain what the IRGC is.
The IRGC is the Revolutionary Guard. So there was an IRGC, Navy barracks around there. And I wanted to, understand, is this an issue of wrong targeting? Once I looked at satellite imagery, it was clear that for years ago, it used to be part of, it looked like it was very close to the base, part of the base. As far back as 2016, it was completely walled off. There was a separation between that school and the IRGC Navy barracks, and as well, the walls of the school were painted with these bright murals. So obviously, if I can see as an open source investigator that as far back as 8 years ago, these brightly colored walls are visible, I know that this is not part of an IRGC base, and so should anybody that's adding this to a target list.
That's what we're doing. We're killing children. Matter of fact, we've killed a couple hundred children. And, when the questions come about how about those, children that you murdered, it's weird. Suddenly, Pete Hegseth doesn't have the same fire, doesn't have the same aggression, doesn't have the same thought about how he's so happy about it. Matter of fact, what he does is he lies, he dodges like the coward that he is.
Can you give us an update on what the administration knows, what you know now about the reported strike on a girls' school in southern Iran on Saturday?
All I can say is that we're investigating that. We, of course, never target civilian targets, but we're taking a look and investigating that. Red tie in front.
Just on the basis that with the information you would have, your reconnaissance abilities, ability to gather information, I mean, it's several days on now. So is there any clarity on whose munition this was?
We're investigating it. Thank you.
If you think Pete Hegseth is investigating the murder of all those kids in those school bombings that we conducted, you're lying to yourself. You see how quickly and he tried to move on before the follow-up was asked and investigation is going to happen. There wasn't even any investigations into the murder of American citizens on the streets in Minneapolis. They're completely covered up any other ones that have happened that we don't even get to talk about that much. But do you really think there's going to be investigation into how we murdered a bunch of children when this guy just said all the folks living there are terrorists and then they're going to be under the their skies are going to be filled with American planes and our white supremacy is going to thrive forever in the country? Do you really think they give a damn about investigating their murder? Marco Rubio was asked too.
Can you tell us what you know? Can you tell us what you know, Mr. Secretary, or the administration knows about the strike on a building in southern Iran that the Iranians are saying was a school? Reports of large numbers of civilians, including children, killed.
Yeah. I've seen those reports. I don't have. I would refer you, not because I'm not trying to answer your question, but I don't want to get it wrong. The Department of War would be investigating that if that was our strike. And I would refer your question to them, and I'll make sure they're aware that you have that.
Are there indications this was an American missile?
Well, clearly, the United States would not deliberately target a school. Our objectives are missiles, both the ability to manufacture them and the ability to launch them, and the one-way attract drones. That would be our focus, and that's what we would be focused on. We would have no interest and, frankly, no incentive to target civilian infrastructure. The Iranians are, on the other hand, targeting civilian infrastructure. You guys have seen it. I'm sure you've seen it. They're hitting hotels. They're hitting embassies. They're hitting airports. They're hitting oil infrastructure.
If these are children killed, what your response?
Well, it'd be very tragic, but I can't speak to the details behind it because I just don't have it. It would be a tragic outcome if it's happened. I don't have the details as to what led to it. But what is clear is that the United States would not deliberately target a school. They are, on the other hand, deliberately targeting civilians, as you've seen, because you know why? They are a terroristic regime. They sponsor terrorism and they participate in terrorism.
Weird how that works. Apparently, all you need to do is say there are terrorists over there, and they target civilians. Despite the fact that we obviously target civilians, we've been in coordination with Israeli forces targeting civilians in Gaza for years now, murdering people, displacing them, kicking them out of their homes, and not giving a damn. And when asked about it, they shouldn't have been there. They don't deserve to be there. Did you know that they're Muslims? That's always our answers. But for some reason, all Marco Rubio has to do is say, I don't know, never heard about it. I'm not trying to dodge your question. I'm just here dodging your question. You're going to have to refer that to the Department of War, who just said, I guess we'll have an investigation. Who cares? So in other words, nothing will be done. In fact, they'll do it some more, and then they'll claim that we're the United States of America. We don't target civilians. What that's called is propaganda. We've always been thriving and living off of these lies about who we are and what it is that we do or don't do, when in reality, we do all of that. And in case you didn't believe it, that terrorism, that disregard for human life, it's been unleashed on Americans in the streets too. So in case you didn't know, it's who they've always been. This is what they're ignoring in Iran.
کتاب ریاضیشه مهنا زاری اول دبستان گوشه کارهایی که انجام داده برای مدرسه تکالیف مدرسه‌شو اینجا گذاشته هیچی گناهی کرده جعبه مداد رنگیش هنوز داخل کیفشه خون دانش آموزان ما روی این کتاب مشاهده می‌کنه ببرن حاجی
مردم آمریکا باید از دولت مردانشون سوال بکنن کودکان مینابی ما چه تهدیدی علیه امنیت ملی آمریکا داشتن؟
So if these fascists, these bloodthirsty terrorists in our administration don't give a damn about the Americans that they're killing, don't give a damn about the children that have been killed for decades in this country, from school shootings to anything else, and also, very importantly, don't give a damn about this president who's been covering up the largest pedophile sex trafficking ring that this country's seen, what makes you think they're going to give a damn about these kids? They don't. They see them as lesser. This is the danger of white supremacy. This is the danger of these folks having power and taking over all of our systems, all of our capabilities, and all of our war fighting capabilities. Because what they'll do with their white supremacy, since they're very small people with, like zero confidence in themselves, is they'll use everything else from everybody else in this country to then go and kill the people that they see as lesser than them. It's what they've been preaching since this guy rolled down that escalator. Just listen, like Pete Hegseth talked for a long time about all the blood that he's looking to spill, how excited he was about killing people. Those aren't the good guys.